No matter what you think of our current president, there was an image during the campaign that drew a lot of attention. As you know, during a campaign, there are often lots of verbal attacks going all around. And at one particular town meeting, someone asked then candidate Obama how he handled these personal attacks that he was receiving from then candidate Clinton. His response? That was his total response. That's exactly what Jesus tells his followers to do. He knew that things were not going to always go well. And so he says to them, whatever place does not welcome you or listen to you, shake the dust from your feet. He knew that they would be ridiculed. He knew they were going to be rejected. So he tells them, don't take it personally. And you know, every leader has to learn how to do that. President Lincoln was asked whether when he looks at all these things that are said about him, these hateful things really, how he handles that. And his response, if I were to try to read, much less answer, all the attacks made on me, this shop might as well close for any other business. Jesus himself was rejected and derided and mocked throughout his ministry. Jesus had to learn how to shake that dust from his feet, to brush that dirt off his shoulders. And this morning, Jesus is telling all of us, don't take it personally, ever again. It seems to me that you and I get our feelings hurt quite often. I suggest that more often than not, this fact of getting hurt is because we take things personally that quite simply are not. Often enough, we make things that other people do, things they're doing to us, instead of realizing that more often than not, it's not about us at all. It says more about them and their feelings at the time and their opinions and their baggage and their actions, really. Quite honestly, we are not the star of other people's movies. At most, we have a very minor cameo, a bit part in the movie of their life. So often then, if we keep reacting to hurts with hurt and anger and attacks, what we're really doing is eating their garbage, drinking their poison, taking it inside of ourselves. And it doesn't have to happen that way. Jesus is saying, oh, you got to care, but you don't have to care that much. That much that you would take it personally. Jesus was perfectly okay with suffering if it was suffering for love. But he was not okay with suffering that was for nothing, that was for no good reason. A truth about our human nature is that our feelings and our emotions are a gift. They tell us something about ourselves, something about what we value. They can tell us the truth. But those feelings, those emotions can also lie to you. They can scream a truth to you that is just not the truth. For example, if we feel hurt by someone who loves us, we can let that hurt override all the positives of that relation, the history up until then, all the sacrifices they've made for us, and everything that person did right, and say, we really don't matter to them. They really don't appreciate us. And instead, we decide he doesn't care about me. She doesn't love me. Maybe it was a misunderstanding from this imperfect person who just messed up. But that's not how we take it. We don't need to take it to the next level and get stuck in that. Sometimes we just need to let it go before it gets inside of us and starts festering inside of us and gets us all messed up. Do we ever feel more insane than when we're really hurt by somebody? It's almost craziness on the inside. Jesus wants us to learn to be at peace even in the middle of hell. He teaches us that we can shake that dust from our feet, we can wipe that burden off our shoulders and walk tall and walk free again. This is hard. This is really, really hard. So much of this programming, these reactions, are built deeply into the fiber of our being. And we're always especially vulnerable in one area or another. This huge button we carry around and everybody seems to be able to push as soon as they see us. I'm not saying we don't let ourselves be affected by other human beings. We do. That's important. I'm not saying we don't need to be careful about how we talk to each other, and we have some responsibility for what we say and the hurt we leave in our wake. I'm not saying we don't have responsibility for how we treat each other. But you know, there is such a thing as constructive criticism. And I need to learn from other people's feedback as it's given. But I also need to understand that the critique is of my behavior and not about my being. It doesn't make me bad. I don't have to take their criticism personally ever again. Suppose that someone did mean to hurt us. Even then, why give them so much power over our feelings? Why take that on? If it's appropriate, I might need to respond to them and try my best in the midst of all that craziness to speak the truth and with love. I can give them away, my dignity and my joy. But you know what? Nobody can take that from me. No words they speak, nothing they do can take my dignity and my joy away unless I give it away. After something hurtful is said then, whether it's intentional or not, there are a couple things I think you and I can do. Number one, take a breath. Take a breath and remember in that breath that you are more than that hurt. There's way more to you than that. There's a lot of living you can do while you're dealing with that hurt. Don't become that hurt. Number two, if there's anything to learn from it, learn it. But don't let it become a statement about who you are. Don't take it personally ever again. And finally, and I learned this just listening to the radio the other day at an interview of Kurt and Brenda Warner. Brenda was asked during her time here, didn't you sometimes get picked on or ridiculed by people? How did you deal with that? Her response, I tried not to take it personally. Plus, I always knew that Kurt absolutely adored me. She always knew that there was one who adored her, that helped her take all those insults that she was thrown day in and day out. I'd like to suggest to you this morning that one of the very most important reasons for you to develop a personal prayer life is so that your center is right here. That your center is right here in this one who adores you, who absolutely adores you, in this Jesus who is crazy about you. That's how we can be at peace in the middle of hell. Because from here we know that no one has the power to take my dignity away from me or my joy, ever. And you know that when there's this one who's always crazy about you, who adores you just as you are. The next time you find your feelings being hurt, I pray that each of us could just hear this Jesus say, don't waste your precious life. Not even 1 minute, not 1 minute of your precious life on that person who hurt you, who you wish loved you well and all the time well. Get over it and get on with it. Get over it and get on with your precious life, and don't waste 1 more minute back there. Decide right now. I could hear Jesus saying, right now, that I'll never ever again take anything personally. Can you think for just a moment of the last time you can remember having your feelings hurt? Something someone said, or did, or didn't say, or didn't do. I'd ask you to put that hurt right here on your shoulder right now. Imagine it setting right here, right now. And I want you to do 3 times our version of shaking the dust from our feet. I want you to go like this. I want you to brush it off and be free.